All right, we're back with another episode with Jessica from Florida Kids Therapy Services. Welcome back, Jessica.
Thanks, Jen. Happy to be here.
All right, I'm going to put you back in the hot seat because I want to talk to you about the longevity of an SLP and an SLPA. So when I'm thinking about, someone who's brand new, they're new to the field, they're getting into it, they're becoming an SLP or an SLPA, and then they're like, "Oh no," right? Like the burnout starts to come, the tense notes and the documentation starts to come. How do you help prepare your team for the longevity of their career? And what would you recommend to somebody maybe who's brand new? How do you stay long term? How do you prepare for that long-term journey of a stable, awesome career as an SLP or as an SLPA?
hmm I think this is a great question. And I think the first answer starts with expectation. The second involves a reality check. And the third involves flexibility. And the expectation piece, I think what we expect of ourselves is the basis for all of this. Like if my expectation is perfection and my expectation is ultimate performance at every moment, that leads to burnout so quickly because A, no one is perfect.
Mm-hmm.
And B, we can't be perfect. And C, we can't enjoy life when we're putting everything into our job.
Yeah,
And the reality that like that's not what is being asked of us. I think there's a piece too, like schools allow for grace because it's within a school setting and it's so real time with students that you don't have a parent. It's not private practice. There's no parent watching you and asking you questions right here. You're working with the students in their day and their emotions and their schedule and being flexible based on what's happening with them. So I personally think the school environment allows for some of that flexibility that can decrease stress. There are other stressors in the school, noise, admin,
for
teaching
sure.
kids, those are stressors. But to me, not having the stress of the performance in a private practice gives me some space to feel more comfortable. I don't know if that makes sense, but that's a piece of that.
Yeah, for sure.
Um, the second involves a reality check of like, how do I feel about this setting that I'm in right now? Is this a good fit for me? Do I leave exhausted or do I leave with some margin in my tank to go home to my family, to go home to friends, to go home to want to do something outside of work for myself that's beneficial to me? And then the third is flexibility. I have said for so long that the beauty of our field is that it is so super flexible. There was a therapist, I actually still employ her, but there were years she worked 1 hour a week for me because of the flexibility in our field. And she had had kids, but wanted to stay in the field just a little bit. And it was such a beautiful thing to get to watch because she did. She got to work 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours a week when fit in her schedule and
Mm,
continued to do the work and stay mentally sharp in our field, but also had the freedom to not have to show up 40 hours a week or be expected to do that. Within Florida Kids, even now, we have a range of hours. I think our lowest therapist is 4 hours a week, and our busiest are 40 hours a week. And when I interview, we talk about how many hours a week do you want to work? What do you want that to look like? How can we match you with schools that have a need for what you offer? And that is a fun puzzle game to me to put together the therapists who some are like, I need 40 hours a week. I need as much work as I can have.
yeah.
And we have schools that are like, we provide a very consistent, very steady position versus other schools that are like, we have a flexible schedule. If the kids aren't there, don't come. And so there's flexibility within that. And you have to be okay knowing I may show up planning to work 5 hours, but only working 3. Some therapists are like, I'm great with that. That's fine
Mhm.
with me. But that doesn't work when you have a therapist who's like, nope, I need consistently 38 to 40 hours a week. I want to have benefits. I want to have all of that. So I do think flexibility is that last piece and being able to ask the question of, is what I'm doing right now working for where I am in life? And our field grows and changes for all of that. And I love that there are different options. Within that, you should also be willing to work to find the right situation for you because there are so many different situations that you can work in and you want to be well supported. You want to be heard. You want to be valued and you don't want to be overwhelmed.
Yeah, so I feel like recapping this is like when you think about the longevity, if you want to stay an SLP or an SLPA for a very long time, get yourself a reality check of like where you're at. the location is going to be everything. And then being able to create margin so that way you always still have something in the tank, because you shouldn't be going home completely empty to whatever situation, right? Family, friends, doing extra hobbies. So great way to like recap that for us of like how to stay in this field long term. I love your feedback on that.
Thanks, Jen. And I feel so strongly about it. It's worth asking those questions